we can go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for joining us for today's leveraging automation and ticket context to improve help desk operations. A few housekeeping items before we get started and introduce myself and Michael. This webinar will be recorded, and we do generally send the webinar recording out in 48 to 72 hours, depending on how busy we are. So look for an email from the marketing team to get a recording of this. This is done live, and it is interactive. So if you have questions, if you want to engage, please do via the Q&A and chat feature. Talk amongst yourself in chat. We will generally prioritize questions in Q&A because they're easier for us to get to and read. But please do put them in there because we've got time at the end to go through your questions and answer any questions you may have. And last but not least, there is a gift card giveaway at the end. So we'll make sure to announce that before Q&A, but after the demo. So stay with us, and maybe you'll be one of the or the lucky winner. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Pete Breton. I am the Director of Customer and Product Marketing here at Ninja. And I get to be here because it's my job to talk to you all about our products and features and capabilities, and make sure you're aware of all the new cool things that we're doing, one of which is our ticketing solution, which we'll talk about today. And I'd like to also introduce Michael Shelton, our VP of Global Support, who I will let introduce himself from there.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael. I'm the VP of Global Support. I also happen to be, it's funny because, I grew up in as a technician, worked for an MSP, I've worked in internal IT, I've worked for Apple, I've worked for all sorts of places. And so I have used ticketing platforms pretty extensively. So it was kind of an obvious choice to have me be a product maven for the ticketing platform. So I'm excited to talk to you all. I've been with Ninja for quite some time now, about 6 years. So since we had about 50 customers, I've kind of worked with you all at varying levels throughout the years. So it's my great pleasure to be here with you.
Thanks so much, Michael. I don't have like a table of contents here, but I'll quickly go through how this will play out. I've got some slides to go through to talk about kind of why this is important and, what sets Ninja apart and who we are and all of that. I promise I won't do death by PowerPoint, and we'll make sure to spend plenty of time with Michael going through the actual product and giving a demo. Hopefully the slides will give you some value as well. And then again, we'll have plenty of time at the end for Q&A. So I think we can go ahead and dive in. Generally, I try not to do the who is Ninja up front. I try to keep that to the end, but I think it's important from a context perspective to give you an overview of what Ninja can do before we dive into the rest of the content, because some of what we're going to talk about, you can't do with any ticketing product. A lot of what we're going to talk about, you can, but some of it is unique to a unified IT operations platform like Ninja that combines endpoint management and monitoring and alerting and, backup and all of these things in one place. So for any of you who haven't interacted with Ninja One before, we're the world's leading unified IT operations platform dedicated to making you more efficient and effective by simplifying how you manage IT. That's kind of our tagline. And we really do have a focus on simplification. And in some places that, that can be a negative, but we really see it as a positive. We're going to take some of the complexity out of your day and make you more efficient and effective, and make things easier for you, which, with all of the tools that you use and everything that you do on a daily basis, the tools that you use should be simple and easy and fun to use. Ninja gives you one centralized solution for managing your endpoints and supporting your end users at scale, 100% remotely. There's no infrastructure or servers that you need to run this. You can run it from anywhere with essentially zero infrastructure. And the solutions that we built and the products that we're pursuing and continuing to build are seamlessly integrated. And I think this is a pretty big differentiator for us. We haven't bought anything. Everything that you see in Ninja is something that we built on a unified data model that's seamlessly integrated across the entire platform. And that gives you a level of automation and sort of single source of truth that you don't really have with many of the IT solutions that are out there today. So in addition to the ticketing solution, which we're going to focus on today, and ticketing pain points and how we solve them, we have all of these other solutions that you see on the screen. I'm not going to go through all of them, but essentially we give you an entire tool stack to manage IT operations centrally and remotely, and with a focus on the big pain points that you have and how we can make them easier and automated and seamless. With that quick overview, hopefully quick overview, let's dive into the actual content here. I promise I won't do any more pitching until the end. So more than almost any other part of an IT organization, or part of almost any organization, help desks are some of the most heavily metriced groups that exist. Everything that a help desk does, or anything that your technicians do, is going to be monitored, scored, reviewed, and gone over and tried to improve. It's one of those operations that is incredibly open to being measured and therefore improved, which is really fantastic. The good thing is too that those metrics are pretty common wherever you work. Now, obviously, different organizations will have different nuances, and some may track some that others don't. But in general, there's going to be a focus on efficiency and end user outcomes, and how you can track those and how you can improve them. These are some of the most common ones that we hear about, and that Michael helped me, identify here from all of his years working in the on help desk and in the service desk and running a global support organization. But again, the focus here is on efficiency and end user outcomes. And that's important because one of the things that we want to do is do anything we can to improve efficiency, end user outcomes, and reduce costs. And this, the concept of shifting left has been around for a long time. But one of the most effective things that you can do to impact those metrics and improve outcomes and lower costs and be more efficient and all of those things is to focus on shifting left in your help desk operations. So what do we mean? If you haven't heard the term before, traditionally it would mean pushing as many tickets down from tier 2 or tier 3 down to tier 1 as possible, because you probably have fewer tier 2 and tier 3 techs. They're probably paid more. They're a more valuable resource because you have fewer of them, and they should be focused on the most complex problems, right? Shifting left focuses on taking things that can be done by tier 1 and tier 2 techs and making sure they have the resources and tools that they need to solve those problems, and keeping as many of those problems with those techs as possible. Ultimately, that's going to result in a faster resolution time, a better utilization of resource, reduced costs, and a much better experience for your end users, right? Now, that's only this right half, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 support, right? But with a solution that is a unified solution like Ninja, you can actually potentially move even further left. Sorry, jumped ahead there for a second. So with a tool like Ninja, you can automatically add context to tickets. And that's one of the core things I want to focus on today is context. Context is going to be one of the biggest things that you can do to shift left, move to those tier 2 and tier 1 support technicians. Context is going to give them the information they need before they need it, up front when the ticket is created, and therefore allow them to do more and do more faster. Quite often, tickets are escalated simply because tier 1 technicians either don't have the access or don't have the resources to get some of the data they need to resolve a ticket, or because they don't know how to get that information, that context. Automatically adding context to a ticket is going to significantly reduce the number of more simple tasks that are unnecessarily escalated, while simultaneously making tickets easier and faster to resolve for everyone. Even when it gets to a tier 3 tech, the more context it has in the ticket, the better it's going to be. You can even go a step further, or 2 steps further, and use self-service and prevention to shift all the way left, right? So far left that a ticket's never created, that a problem never even comes up, right? So, for example, you could detect an unexpectedly stopped service and automatically restart it. Therefore, end users never feel an interruption, and therefore a ticket's never created, or a ticket's created, but it's automatically resolved, right? Similarly, you could monitor for health and performance related issues like a degraded smart status, or something going wrong with a RAID controller, and proactively replace it. Again, the ticket never comes in, no end users ever affected. You shift to this more proactive approach, and so you're shifting all the way left to prevention. And finally, from the self-service perspective, there are a lot of opportunities to actually push things back in the hands of an end user, like giving them tools to restore their own backups, or install their own applications, even in a zero trust environment, which again keeps those tickets that are easy to resolve but take time and resources out of the hands of your help desk and put them further left. Ultimately, shifting left is about utilizing your help desk resources more efficiently, resolving issues faster, making end users happier, and minimizing support costs. Ticket context and a smart use of automation is going to help your team use those resources more efficiently. So let's talk about what context looks like. This is not what context looks like. If we were in person, I'd have people raise their hand who's seen something like this, right? Who's gotten a ticket that says my computer isn't working, right? This is an example of a low or essentially zero context ticket. And it's more trouble than it's worth, right? The only thing you can maybe glean from this is who requested the ticket. And depending on the ticketing system that you're using, you may have a map from user to device, right? So you may be able to figure out what endpoint's affected, but that's a best case scenario here. In this case, you're going to have a lot of back and forth, a lot of discovery that needs to be done before you can even consider moving forward and getting the information you need to start remediation. That's a huge drag and a huge resource drain on your team. So naturally, as you go through solving a ticket, you're going to move through this context maturity framework, right? I had tier 0 at tier 1, 2, and 3 here, and Michael made me change it to bronze, silver, gold. So I'll try to remember to use bronze, silver, gold here. You start by collecting some basic information about the person and the device and the environment that it's in. You look into the acute pain, the actual incident, what's going on here. You may have to dig deeper into the technicals of what's happening. You may not, it may be easy and apparent. And then you finally step into, how can I fix it? How can I resolve this issue? In the previous slide, the only item that was provided was, who is this person? But what if your ticketing solution could provide all or most of this for all or most of the tickets that come in? The amount of back and forth between your technician and end users is going to drop significantly, which is going to make everyone more efficient and end users happier. The device, environment, and incident data provided is going to help your lower level technicians resolve a higher percentage of tickets and do so faster. And if your tier 2 and tier 3 and specialist technicians can actually create repeatable remediations in the form of things like scripts, you can actually give those scripts to your tier 1 and tier 2 technicians and have them run them and do more complex, higher level remediations. Even if they don't necessarily understand exactly what's happening, they can do so at a click of a button and deal with even more complex issues than they could in the past. So what does that look like? Michael's going to show you this live, but I wanted to steal his thunder a little bit here. This is what a ticket, a somewhat mature ticket, looks like in Ninja that was created via RMM or endpoint management and generated in Ninja ticketing. So you can see that we have environmental context, device and user context, and these are links. You can go and look at what's going on in this environment or in this location. You can go and see more information about the user or the device. You can also see incident context, what's going on here. And it's fairly in depth, right? We know here that there was an application hang. It was Cortana that caused it. And I have some additional information that'll be helpful for me to solve this issue if I have to. Like, this is Cortana didn't work for a minute, probably not an ongoing issue. But if it is, I have a lot of information to help solve that. Not only that, again, I have a lot of paths directly in the ticket to go and solve this, right? Again, it's a Cortana application hang, but let's say I needed to reboot, I can do that at a click of a button. If this is a common thing and my higher level technicians were able to write a script to remediate this, I can do that at a click of a button right from here. directly from the ticket and resolve that issue. This is a really high context ticket that was generated completely automatically. And so your tier one technicians will know, will be able to resolve this issue far faster and far better. And even if it gets to the tier three tech, they're going to have all of this context really easily at the tip of their fingers. So let's talk about the next step, automation maturity. So you have the context maturity, you want to go through and get that as high as you can. Automation maturity is also really important. So assuming you're using a ticketing system today, you probably have at a minimum this bronze level, right? You have tickets that come in, they get routed to the right person, they get moved to the right filtered ticketing boards. You probably have an escalation process that's in place that uses triggers like time and tags and events to actually auto escalate or reroute or whatever it may be. And that's fantastic. There's a lot of benefit to automating away some of the administrative parts of ticketing. The next step, though, this silver level, does require that really tight integration with like an endpoint management system or a remote monitoring and management system, or as many of your systems as possible. Some of this can be done through your own custom built integrations. But, Ninja stances, it's better if you do it with Ninja, of course. So if you can integrate your endpoint monitoring and management solution, you can add in that second layer. You can actually create tickets based on endpoint behavior. And those will be very context-rich tickets with lots of information about what's going on and the environmental and device context as well. You can also do collision detection, right? So let's say you're detecting a network failure, right? And whenever there's a network failure, it lasts a certain amount of time, you're going to create a ticket. Well, if that happens for 5 minutes every couple of hours, you're going to have a bunch of different tickets, right? And they're not really connected. So that's a problem. With collision detection, you're really going to see, okay, we had a network outage. It was 5 minutes long. It resolved itself. So the ticket, went into a resolved state. But then in a couple hours, it comes back and it goes down again. What you're going to get is actually a running list in a single ticket that shows, okay, this one incident that looked really small is actually a regular and repeated network outage that is going to have an impact on end users. There's a huge difference between those two things, right? Where you have a new ticket created every time there's an issue versus using collision detection to say, okay, there was an issue, it's self-resolving, but it's bigger than that one incident, and we're going to pull that together all into one ticket. The gold standard here, though, is closed loop remediation. And this can't be done with everything, but for things that can be done, it's really fantastic. In this case, not only do you detect the issue automatically, create a ticket, you can actually automate that remediation and close the ticket and fully document what happened in the ticket with zero interaction, so that you have that record. This still happened. This interaction took place. There was an issue and we solved it. But essentially completely free from your technicians. And that's true as far left shifting as you can go from a ticketing and remediation perspective. Obviously, this type of ticket management and remediation makes sense only for some things that can be fully automated. But where you can invest in that, it can be incredibly helpful and effective at freeing up your resources. All right. So here it is. Here's my little pitch for Ninja. We're going to give you all of this, right? On the context side, we're going to give you that endpoint and end user context for everything, right? Like any ticket that comes in with a ticket and user associated with it, you can go in and easily get the device and location and environmental context built in, right? Really easy to go and find more information at a click of a button. The second is that incident context piece. When it's a device triggered ticket created by a condition being triggered, you're going to have that incident context. What happened? When did it happen? What are the technical details of that incident? And then finally, environmental context, right? Looking at the device in the context of its organization, looking at your documentation about the environment, looking at what else is going on with other devices in the environment, all in one place. On the automation side, we're going to provide that as well. Not only the administrative ticketing automations, like making sure it's in the right boards, modifying tickets, escalating tickets via event, time, et cetera, based automations, but also that automated ticket creation, and then finally opportunities for full closed loop automation. Okay. With that, I'm going to actually hand it over to Michael to show you this live, and happy to answer any questions once he's done.
Hey, thanks everybody, and thanks Pete. I've been furiously typing responses in the Q&A section, so if I haven't gotten to yours, bear with me. There's a lot of great questions in there, and yeah, thanks Pete for this great information. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and kind of take you through Ninja for just on a high level. So some of you have seen the Ninja platform, some of you have not. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview as soon as you log in, this is your main dashboard. So this gives you just a quick view of all of your organizations that you manage or departments that you manage. This also gives you kind of a quick bird's eye view of what the overall health of that organization is, whether there are pending AV alerts or threats to act on, whether there are patches that need to be applied, whether there are devices that are down, et cetera. It gives you a good idea of what the overall health is. And you can customize what would generate a red color, for example. You can determine what is a healthy device versus a non-healthy device. So pretty customizable. And you can see within the dashboard, I can filter out by specifically by software patches, by OS patches, backup, if there are pending approvals for devices, et cetera. But I want to talk to you today about ticketing. Again, this has kind of been a labor of love for me. I've used some really great ticketing platforms and I've used some really terrible ones. So our stated goal is to trend towards the great ones. On the left-hand side, there's a first-class citizen for ticketing, and below that are different products call it different things. Some of them call them queues, some of them call them views. We call them boards. So essentially, all it is a filtered view of tickets based off of a fully customizable criteria. We do have out-of-box boards. So for example, the unassigned queue, these are tickets that are in your system but have not yet been assigned to a technician. I can look at all tickets regardless of status, whatever those happen to be. Contextually, I can see any tickets that are assigned to me as a technician. Tickets that are in an open status, meaning that your customer is waiting on you. The pending emails board is a specific section for tickets that are coming in from an email address that we don't recognize as being a current user or contact within the system. So it's great spam protection. It's allows you to really control what comes into your system. Any ticket that comes into that specific view, you have the ability to say yes, go ahead and approve it. It will create a contact in your system to where any future email from that customer will automatically generate a ticket. You can also reject it, which essentially puts it on a block list. And then coming very, very soon within our very next release is the ability to bulk approve, bulk reject, and then the immediate release after that is you're going to be able to have an allow list or a block list by domain. So it's really going to make things much easier, much smoother. But again, these are some really great tools. And then you can see we've created some custom boards over here on the left. So just to give us just kind of a quick bird's eye view, I'm just going to go into the unassigned tickets. You can see I can filter these out by a pretty large subset of information that I may want to add. We're consistently adding more. Like with the next release, we're going to be adding by a technician. So if I want to see all the tickets that are currently being managed by John, then I'll be able to filter that way. I can see when the ticket was created, these columns are customizable. So I can create additional columns based off of custom fields. I can add and change the sort order, the view order, et cetera, for these columns. But I'm just going to go into a ticket to where we can sort of look at the anatomy of what Ninja ticketing looks like. First of all, you can see the source of the ticket was from email. I can see the ticket number, the ticket title, subject. On the left-hand side, I get some really, really helpful and interesting information. So for example, I can see the organization, I can see the specific location. If there is a user that's selected, then I can do that. And then again, if there is a device attached to it, I can immediately click on that device and get really interesting information about that. remainder of the section is if there is an assignee, I can assign this to any technician. I can adjust the severity priority, add tags, which are basically smart filters. I can add due dates if I wanted to. I've got an unlimited number of custom fields that I can add here. And again, I can filter out by custom fields. I can add those custom fields as columns if necessary. It's really, really helpful. I can see the ticket status, and we have sub statuses, custom statuses that are coming in the near future as well. These are our out-of-box ticket statuses based off of ITIL standards of problem and incident management. We have that capability here. So we have problem, question, incident, tasks as custom or as out-of-box ticket types. You can create an unlimited number of custom forms. So if there's critical information that you need to make sure that you have for certain types of scenarios, then you can use custom fields and create your own forms. Response templates, think of these as like canned responses. Again, fully customizable with placeholders that you can add in to really customize the experience for your end users. And then we have the ability to split and merge tickets. This comes in really handy if we've all had those customers that says, I have 5 issues and I'm going to tell you all about all 5 of them in one particular ticket. If you're managing those incidents separately, then you can split those out and very easily track what the original ticket, the origination point was. Down below, so I have the ability to type in a public response. This will go to the requester, the CCs, anybody that is actually on this ticket, or I can type in a private troubleshooting note if I want to. You can see the differentiator, just in case I'm a more visual person, a different color background if there's a private note. And then we have some additional safeguards that are being put in play in the next couple of releases for like folks that are colorblind, and maybe this isn't incredibly helpful. So we're making this much more approachable for all. But bottom line is we have the ability to do public responses, private notes. I can see my full activity feed just below. So I can, first of all, I can filter this. So I can see the public responses, private responses, and system responses. Or I may not be at all concerned with what my private comments are, and I just strictly want to do auditing based off of that. I can also see my audit log. If I click on that, and this has been really helpful from an auditing and compliance perspective, is I can see who made what change and when. So anytime any field at all is changed, a full accounting of what was changed and who performed the change is listed here. And then of course I can sort by newest, oldest, etc. We also have the concept, for those of you that pay attention to the amount of time being spent working a ticket, we also have the concept of time. And I'll show you the configuration options here in just a moment. But bottom line is, as you can see right now, there's a timer ticking. You can have it set to automatically start as soon as a ticket is opened, or you can have it manual to where you're manually tracking time. And you can even manually enter time for those times when you're going to be going to the other side of a building to work at a different department to help with their machine, or you're going to be going on site to a very different location. You may want to be able to add a specific amount of time to this ticket, and then it's tracked, and you'll see in just a moment, but it's tracked cumulatively up in the top left-hand side, so you can always see exactly how much time was spent on a ticket. Speaking of that, the time, and again, you can rearrange these columns, but the amount of time that's spent is here within a specific column, so you can see if one ticket is taking longer than it really should. Then you can go down that path. From here, I want to take us over into the configuration options where you can see how you can really build out Ninja ticketing to be fully customizable. So first of all, we have several sub-tabs here. One is general, email, boards, fields, forms, and automations. I'm going to dance around just a little bit, but one of the questions that I saw in the chat is around being able to have Ninja send on behalf of your domain. We currently have a lightweight version of that now, where when you go in to enter your domain, you can actually, if you've configured your SPF record, then we can send on behalf of your domain. So if you're emailing if you want your correspondence to be from support@companyname.com, then as long as you've entered in your SPF record appropriately, then we can send on behalf of that domain. Coming soon with our 5.3.3 release is what we're planning for. is actually the ability to do full SMTP support as well. So that's also coming. Some of these other settings are just general settings. We have the concept of a soft close. We call it resolved. You can select the amount of time that a ticket will be in resolved state before it hard closes. You can select whether timers are manual or automatic, whether technician email responses will be as private comments or public comments, etc. From there, you can also select what the entry point is for your customers. So some of you would want to use the Systray icon, which we certainly have available, and customers can submit tickets that way. We have an end user sharing portal where you can grant access to your end users to be able to manage their own tickets and even have the ability to remote into their own devices, manage their backups, or be able to pull files from their backups. So it's really a full-fledged end user sharing portal. And then, of course, they can also submit tickets via email. And we have the ability to create virtually an unlimited number of custom email entry points to where you can have, like in this example here, I've created a VIP customer. You may have some CEOs for specific companies or for your specific organization that you want to always be filtered to the very top of the list. And so we can edit. We can have some very specific focal points here. Number one, you can forward that email address from support@companyname.com. Just let us know that that's what you're going to be doing so that we will ignore that particular portion of the header and we'll go on to whoever the origination point was. You can select which custom form you use for this automatically. You can automatically adjust priority severity, add tags if you want to. So it really puts a lot of power and control into your hands. Let's talk about how we would build forms. So the crux of a form would be fields. As you can see, we have played around. This is our test environment, so bear with me. It's a little messy, but I think you guys get the point. You can create unlimited number of custom fields that will be applied to custom forms. Just to give you an idea what this looks like, as you're creating a field, you first select the type of field that you want to be able to create. I'm just going to select a drop down as a proof of concept. And again, I mentioned that there's an end user sharing portal. So you have customization here where you can say for end users, I don't want them to see it at all, or I want this to be required, or it's read only. I mean, you have that power. And then for technicians, it's optional, required to create, required to resolve. And then you can specify if, let's just say I want end users to be able to see it. I can even have a separate title and description for end users versus technicians to make it more friendly and approachable for them. Values is exactly what you would expect. So just add a few here. And then I can click and drag these and rearrange the view order if I wanted to. And then I can just save that custom field from there. Once I've created whatever custom fields that I know that I want on a specific form, then I'm now to a place where I can create a custom form. So again, I have the ability within the end user sharing portal of what I want them to see versus what versus the actual name. So friendly name versus actual. I can specify whether when this form is used, whether I want to use the default, whatever my system default is for timers, or I may be working with a department that doesn't have an SLA, or I may be working with a customer that does not, that I don't have a billing model that is based on time. So I may want to override whatever I have at the system level for this person. Again, I can select whether end users can see it. I can select whether end users, whether it would be the default form for them. So this would show up on their end user sharing portal. And then I just start adding fields. I can add as many as I want. Just randomly choosing a few here. And then once that's done, then I choose save, and now boom, I have a new form. Once forms are created, now I'm ready to kind of get creative with some of my automation. So I want to take us into some of the automation settings. I have the ability to create an event-based automation. An example would be, I want to email the requester whenever a ticket is created. So let's just use that as an example. Again, I can have a friendly name, ticket created, The condition in this case would be, and it's actually the default action, is ticket created. I can add any additional conditions if I want, like if the priority is high, or if the organization is organization 1, 2, 3, if there are specific tags seen. But in this case, I'm just going to leave it at ticket created, and the actions that I can perform, I'm actually going to say I want to email that requester ticket, and I can use these cool placeholders. I'm going to say ticket created. I can't type very well when I'm doing a presentation. I'm not even going to try to correct my terrible spelling. You guys get the idea. And then at this point now, anytime a ticket is created, it's going to email the requester with exactly the information that I put in there. Now, notice there's a lot of other placeholders, and we'll be continuously adding more placeholders as well over time. But we have quite a bit. We have the ticket summary, the ticket status. We have tags. We have who the assignee is, so I can address them by their first name. There's a lot of things that we can do here. So again, makes it really, really convenient. But I can also create additional types of automations. Like if I want to email your leadership team every time a ticket has not been addressed or has not had a response in 45 minutes, for example, or 30 minutes or an hour, or whatever your time frame is, I can do a time-based trigger for that. If a ticket is more than 6 hours old, if you want to change the status of it, you have that capability. Response templates, again, this is canned responses, so I can say, again, I'm not going to take the time to correct my spelling mistakes, but anything that's on the left-hand side of a ticket, I can edit. I can add a CC, I can update the ticket, I can add a comment if I want to, I can add time, and I can really build out a really cool response template just by using that automation. And then one of the last ones that I want, obviously there's several here. You can do automations based off of script result conditions as well. I want to kind of take us into condition rules. So a good example here is a server is down. So a server goes down, maybe in a particularly important department, but I want to make sure that a ticket is created if that is used. So I can select whatever form I've created. I didn't save the one that I was just testing with, so I'm just going to pick on one here. So I'm going to say, if the server goes down, I want you to use this form. I want you to add a specific tag. I want the status to be new, priority. I'll show you here in just a moment, but by default, whatever your policy settings are for conditions, it's going to be honored here. I can override that if I want, but in this case, I'm just going to use what my policy conditions are for ticket create. Now, let's walk through the anatomy of this. So the ticket is created because the server went down. If that condition is reset, either because the server has resolved itself, it's back up, maybe it just restarted, or a technician took action, if that condition is reset, I can change the status. I'm going to change it to resolved, and I'm going to add, let's say I'm going to add 1 hour of time. What happens if it fails again? What happens if that server goes back down before this ticket is closed? So I can take an additional action, a compound condition at that point. I can say, if it's not closed, I just want to add this comment onto the existing ticket. Or if the ticket is closed, I want to create a brand new ticket. In this case, I may want to leave it open so that I know that a technician is going to work on it. I may want to override the priority and severity, and I want this to go from high, or go to high and critical. So again, the workflow here is complex. So while we're here, let's go ahead and go into policies, and you can see how that would play out. I'm just going to choose one of our demo policies just as an example. We have them for server down. Just for time's sake, I'm just going to pick on print spooler and pretend that this is the server down. But essentially, you have the ticketing rule down here, and we do allow multiple ticketing platforms to be utilized at the same time, by the way. We do integrate with ConnectWise. So in this particular demo environment, we have ConnectWise also used in conjunction with Ninja ticketing. But I'm going to select the ticketing rule that I've created. The one that I've kind of been playing around with is this device down. So that is now, if that, again, pretend that this is server down, but that would now create a ticket using that compound condition anytime that particular event occurs. I saw in the chat there was some questions about like event IDs. We also allow you to create conditions based off of event IDs. Those can also generate tickets, which again, you can manage your ticket workflows in an automated way in that case as well.
Actually, Michael, if you jump back in there and go to the application hang one, it's the second one down. I believe that's the one that I showed in my presentation here, where we're looking at application hang. It's creating a ticket, and that's where you get all of that rich information of what application was it, what was the event ID, what is the string to get to the application, all of that information. This condition created that ticket. Thanks.
No, thank you, Peter. And just to give you an idea what a ticket from one of those comments might be is something like this. Like, for example, it shows there was a system generated message, TeamViewer service is stopped, for example. And you can see that the system put in a message saying this was created on condition triggered. And then the technician kind of knows where to go from here. In addition to all this, with our 5.3.1 release coming out next week, is the ability to directly from this screen, right next to the link to the device, there will actually be a little play button full of all sorts of remediation tasks that you can take, that you can customize. You can directly remote into a device from this screen using your, whatever remote access tool of choice is. There's also the ability to run patch scans, all sorts of remediation steps that would be really, really helpful and handy without you even having to leave the screen. So again, it's extremely robust. This is a labor of love. So there's a lot of time and attention that's going to be spent on Ninja ticketing over the next year, really for the next several years, because we think that we can, we're already well positioned to be best in breed, best in class in a very short term. So I think on the high level, Peter, I don't know if there's anything else that you felt like I should have covered, but I think that gives us a good overview of this. And then, definitely reach out to account managers for a more in-depth personalized demo as well.
Thank you, Michael. That was fantastic. I have one thing I want to run through super quick because I saw it come up a lot, and that's about the end user portal. I just want to show it really, really quick.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen here. This is a branded version. So this is what the end user would see. They'd see your company, whatever would be here. They'd go to log in. I'm not sure this password is correct. Let's see. It is. Two-factor authentication is required for end users. Well, for everyone, but for end users. 1 second. All right, I'm going to switch here. This is also branded, but I don't want to go back and fix that. This is the end user portal. They have access to their devices. You can restrict it to individual devices or all devices in an organization, or if you want to, any device in any organization. It's entirely up to you. You decide. There are a lot of actions here. They can go and restore their backups. They can remote access in. They can get access to the terminal if you want. It's entirely up to you. But on the ticketing side, I can come in here and I can see my tickets, any that I have and any public responses that I have. And I can go ahead and I can create a new ticket. I can use different forms. So if, for example, you had a hardware procurement form, I could go in here and find that and fill out the correct information. I could go to help desk operations, and it's going to give me the information that you as the help desk need to fill out, and I can fill that out and submit my ticket here. So that's what I wanted to show you. It is entirely brandable, and you have access to what people have access to, including whether or not they have access to ticketing. So that was the last thing I wanted to show, but we do need to give away a gift card before we answer questions, and there are a ton of questions. So Christine, could you hop on and announce our winner, please?
Hey everyone,
Hi, Christine.
Hey Michael. Hey everyone, I'm Christine. I'm a marketing campaign coordinator here at Ninja One, and I'm here to announce the $100 gift card winner. So drum roll, please. Alex Bernstein. Congratulations, Alex. Be on the lookout for an email from me, and I'll get that out to you. That's it for me. Back to you, Pete.
Thanks a ton, Christine. I have a couple like big picture things to talk about before we get into specific questions. There are a lot of people who had feature requests. Michael, where should people send those if they're current customers?
So currently, and I think I put this as an answer to a couple of the questions, but it's ticketing-feedback at ninjarmm.com, ninja1.com, sorry. I'm still getting used to our own company name change. So yeah, ticketing-feedback at ninja1.com is the answer. If you have specific features, requests, there's also a section of our dojo, which for those of you that aren't customers or have used our platform, dojo is just our cute name for the community. But I've been really active there as well, and we've gotten some really good conversation around what features would be really helpful, use cases. Sometimes I'll ask specific questions if there's features that I'm working on from a product management perspective and I want your feedback. So make sure that you're checking in there as well.
Including apparently the sneak peek of our ticketing mobile app.
Shh, that was supposed to be a sneak peek. Yeah, I actually saw that question a lot. I think I answered all of them in the Q&A. But yeah, I'm really excited. Guys, the reason why it's been delayed, just to sort of lift the veil a little bit, is there were quite a few backend and server changes, particularly around the API that we needed to make sure that we put in order for the mobile app to work to the quality and to the level that we wanted it to work. So all of those changes are going to be in our 5.3.1 release, which starts rolling out next week. It'll go to Oceania APAC next week. The following week, it'll be hitting EMEA, and then the week after that, it'll be hitting North America. Because those changes are going to be in those releases, once those releases hit all instances, that's the point at which we're going to schedule release. It'll go to iOS first, and then within a few days, a week or whatever, I'm not exactly sure how quickly, but very, very quickly, it'll be on the Android side as well. We've been working on them simultaneously. There's a couple of additional tests that we need to do on the Android side.
Awesome, thank you, Michael. I'm gonna go just start answering questions. We can alternate, Michael, but the first one I see here that I'm gonna go ahead and answer live is, when will Ninja Ticketing become live? We have hundreds of customers on this today. It's live today. If you're a current customer and aren't using ticketing, you can go into the configuration integrations tab here, go to ticketing and enable it, and it's on and available to you. If you are not a current customer, you can spin up a trial and it will be available in the trial.
Yeah, worth mentioning too is we had a really robust alpha and beta phase where we had a ton of amazing customers that gave us some great feedback. So the product you see now is the result of a lot of customer feedback. And as we continue to grow and build and develop, that's the expectation as well, as we want this to be a product that you're intimately involved with. I see quite a few about reporting. So I wanted to just kind of share my thoughts on reporting as of right now. I mean, if there's a weak side of Ninja, just to be perfectly candid, I would say that reporting is it currently, and we recognize that. We're actually heavily in the middle right now of full development of an entirely new reporting framework. So we know that in this day and age, everybody wants it to be widget-based. You want it to be customizable. You want to be able to create reports that matter to you. You don't want us to tell you what reports should matter to you. And we recognize that. So we're actually fully in the middle of thoroughly building out our reporting framework. And we expect that to be wrapped up in just a few months. Ticketing is going to be heavily involved in that. So there's some out-of-box reports currently. There's some basic reports that are admittedly a little on the weak side. I think I've covered most use cases. And for those that we didn't, we made sure that the data is exportable through CSV to where you can create your own reports. But just bear in mind that Ninja's in the middle of a complete overhaul of its reporting framework, and ticketing is going to be able to take full advantage of that, including, by the way, on the dashboard side of things. The framework that we're building out is going to allow for more interesting dashboards from a customizable standpoint.
That's ugly. So I'm going to close that. All right. Thank you.
Sean, yeah, I'm just going to mark this one as answered live.
Awesome. So someone asked about, is there a way to hide like billing and time related activities if you're not going to use that? Because we're not a PSA and we don't offer a PSA, billing and time related features, is there a way to make that go away or make it not impact their workflow?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a setting in the general settings that you can just turn off.
If I go right here, right here, right? Yep, edit. Timers, manual, disabled. You can just set that to disabled, and we don't have a billing component, so that would be off because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm seeing one too. This is a good question too, about importing tickets from your current help desk into Ninja. That is a project that I'm actively working on right now. Obviously there's a ton of ticketing platforms out there, and we have to be able to do so mindfully. We'll probably start with just a few, and then we'll expand from there. I don't have a specific ETA. We're in investigation mode now of what platforms we should have the ability to import tickets from. Always open for feedback, and in fact, there's a section on the community. There's one of the posts on the community is specifically requesting feedback on what some of the most frequently requested ones are, so you can vote on them and kind of chime in. But that is a component that we're looking at.
Awesome. There's like 500,000 questions on the Systray icon. I just want to share that really quick. For those of you who don't know what it is, the Systray icon is like at the bottom in your Systray. There, you can put a Ninja icon. It's brandable, and you can submit a ticket from there. If you come into branding here, you can go ahead and go to configure. And this is the help request form. There's a lot of other stuff here, but the help request form specifically, you can have that go to an email address. If you have ConnectWise or Autotask or whatever else integrated, you can go there. You can go to both, or you can just go to Ninja Ticketing. So let's say we're going just to Ninja Ticketing. We can use there are multiple template types. You can put in whatever subject you want here using environmental variables as well, and then you can tell it what information you want included in the ticket, and this will go directly to a ticket and create that context-rich ticket we were talking about. These environmental variables here, there is a Dojo article telling you what environmental variables are available. So you can edit this to be pretty robust and however you want. The user would just right-click on the Systray icon and hit submit a ticket and then fill out their information. You get this information plus whatever other context they provide in the ticket. If you are experiencing pain with it, I saw, for example, someone saying there's only one form. Go to the Dojo, post a feature request, and we can always review it. So I think that one's answered.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions too around privacy, security, and compliance. So I just wanted to make just a general statement. There's not going to be time for me to get into the woods on every privacy security feature. I will tell you that as a company, it's never been more important for us to be highly, highly focused on security, privacy, and protecting your data. We've all seen, there's been tons of things in the news about other organizations that have had unpleasant days, and it has not been lost on us. And the only thing that I feel is important to share with you, and just in this call, is that we're looking consistently and repeatedly using every method available to humanity to make sure that we have the most secure platform in existence. We are doing our very utmost to make sure that we're protecting your data, protecting your information. Ticketing, we're currently in the process of evaluating what is involved in us being fully HIPAA compliant. The primary application of Ninja is HIPAA compliant. There is one component of how email is processed that we're working on from a ticketing perspective. So I would expect that to be resolved in the near future, primarily because with our currently scheduled for our 5.3.3 release, we will be offering SMTP support, which will allow you to lock it down to your own environment so that you have control over any data transmitted through email.
Awesome, thank you. There was another question about do we support SMTP, so that one's solved as well. There's one here that I want to address. Jamie asked about integrations with KB articles, or with other tools that do KB articles. This is kind of a sneak peek into the future here, but part of Ninja is we do have a built-in documentation platform. If I'm on an org here and I go to documentation, this is a demo environment, so I apologize, it's ugly, but we have a fairly robust documentation platform that we're similarly investing in heavily and adding a lot to. You can see here I have a ton of documentation. One piece of that is that we do intend to build KB article functionality into documentation. When that happens, there will be some level of convergence with ticketing, allowing you to leverage the documentation platform in conjunction with ticketing. That's not in the immediate term, but the short answer is we don't have an integration plan for another tool that does KB articles because that's in our roadmap in the long term as well. I also see someone asking if this is Zendesk. This is our own proprietary solution. We're not leveraging anyone else's technology. I mean, everyone leverages other people's technology, but this is proprietary to Ninja. All right. Sorry, everyone. There's a ton of questions here. We've got time for probably one or two more. So we'll try to find some good ones here.
There's a few here on like feature requests, like for example, on the scheduling of tickets. So we're in the process of building out that component now. So I would expect that to be around mid-year, where there will be a full-fledged scheduling component. There's already a way for you to track it on a lightweight level. We do have tasks that you can associate dates with and that sort of thing, but actually incorporating a scheduling element probably around mid-year. Another question I see quite a bit is around the automated system messages. So we have kind of a litany of automated system responses. Like if a ticket is created, then there's a system response that'll notify the requester that the ticket has been received, that will potentially notify technicians that the ticket has come in, et cetera. So, we have the version 1 that allows you to toggle those on or off. And, interestingly enough, you can also recreate those using the automations that we have. So, but yes, the answer to the overall question is I also agree that those system generated messages should be fully editable. And so we're building out the WYSIWYG for that. But just bear in mind that you can always turn those off and recreate them as needed with, advanced conditions and that sort of thing.
Michael, here's one I don't know the answer to. Can you add, modify, and delete tags once they're created?
Yeah. The short answer is no, but it's coming. Actually, we just finished the development handoff from product management this last week. So I believe that's scheduled for our 5.3.2 release, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the ability to edit, to merge tags, to be able to see a list of tags, and also to be able to see all of the devices associated with the tag is coming.
Awesome. Jed asked if it's possible to see forms in Ninja as you create them. This is how you create a form. You come in here and you can go ahead and add your fields, whatever it may be. It's like that's a German field. And there's a French one. I'm bad at picking English fields, and then you move them around. This is it. You can't see them live, kind of to the right as you create them. You do see here though that you can decide if a field is visible to end users or not. People have asked if it's possible to assign form tickets to specific organizations, so you can only see them for that organization on the end user side. I don't believe that's possible today, but you can decide at a high level if they're visible to end users.
Yeah, and again, with stuff like that, I love feedback. I've had a great time interacting with those of you that have used it already on our community. We've gotten some amazing feedback, and it's directly resulted in major product changes, improvements, and new features. So, I love getting more information from you guys, particularly around specific cases. I frequently set up private meetings for us to talk, to make sure that I fully understand your use case. So don't hesitate to reach out to ticketing-feedback@ninja1.com, and I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. And we are at time. There's a ton of questions we didn't get to. Please reach out to your account managers. You can obviously reach out to myself as well with your questions. We will also pass those questions to your account managers if you have one, and we'll try to get them answered for you. So thank you again so much for joining us and for your incredibly active participation. Feel free to spin up a trial if you're not using Ninja, or reach out to your account manager and turn on ticketing if you want to give it a try.
Thanks so much for taking time out of your day, everybody. It really is great to see you all.